I want to dive right on in and talk to you about launching, because I know that this is something that is, for a lot of you guys, it'll either be something maybe you've tried and it hasn't really gone to plan, or you're thinking about trying and you're just terrified that it's going to be a total flop, total waste of time and money. And these are really common fears. And it's really kind of common actually for these fears to come true, sadly, when people don't kind of go about launching the right way. And I don't like to say right or wrong, because there is no sort of right or wrong with businesses. It's all kind of around what works for you. But with launching, there definitely is a good, better, best kind of way of doing it. And there's also a couple of things that are really common that happen when you launch, and when you launch something multiple times, that a lot of people don't realize. And you don't realize this is actually totally normal until you've launched a few times yourself. And it can be quite disconcerting when it's your first time launching, or, say even second or third, and you're like, why does this stuff keep happening to me? So we're going to be covering all of that today. And a little bit more. And if you have any questions around launching at all, please pop them in the comments and let me know. So let me just get started. Hang on, I'm just going to make sure this is shared into my group as well. Okay, cool. All right, so first thing I want to talk about today is the 3 types of first launches. And when I say first launch, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, hey, Dani, how you going? I don't necessarily mean like the first time you've ever launched anything. I mean the first time you launch a particular product. And there's actually 3 really specific different types of launches and things that happen with each one. So first type is people, they do their first launch. They've normally never really launched anything before for this one. I call this the boom launch. And basically, they've been around, they've been growing the audience for a little bit, they've been giving great value, they're really, really super primed, ready to create something. And they have their launch, and their first launch goes pretty well. And they're like, oh, this is awesome. That was easy. I'm going to do that again. And then their second launch doesn't go so well. And even if they haven't necessarily changed much about it, they kind of don't really understand why the second launch would be worse than the first, because surely, like, if something worked well the first time, it should work just as well, if not better, the second time, right? Not necessarily. So the thing that happens with these boom launches when it's the first time is usually most people who've been hanging around, giving value, engaging on the internet for any kind of period of time, normally you'll have a few super fans. And these are the people who have just been dying for you to do something, for you to give them some other way of working with you or helping them that next step, that bit more engaged, more, intentional kind of help, not just reading your blog posts or watching, your broadcast, listening to your podcast kind of thing. So these people, the second they saw you were going to do something, they're like, hells yes, I'm 100% in. They clicked buy. They were probably your first customers through the gate. Problem then with your second launch is those people have all bought. So second launch is pretty much for people in that situation. Your second launch is actually your more of an accurate barometer or measuring stick, I guess, of how well the different puzzle pieces of your launch actually performed as a tool for conversion, for selling. So this is what normally happens. I said, like, people will go first launch, awesome. Second launch, oh crap, oh, damn it, I shouldn't have sworn. Now I'm not gonna be able to boost this later. It didn't go as well. And then people start to scramble. And that's when people go, oh, well, obviously everything I've done is just no good. I'm going to throw it out and start from scratch and do everything completely differently. And then they just start throwing new stuff after new stuff, just over and over and trying all of it. And the problem with that is that you're not actually being strategic about this. And the fact is that with your launch, if someone's bought at all, even if it's less people than bought in your first, that's great. And that means that you have done something quite well, and the process of actually improving your launches in the future all comes down to actually taking a little bit of time and going, okay, well, what have we done that, what did I do that worked? So you need to know, you need to look at your numbers. You need to go look at all the emails that you sent. What had the best open rates and what had the best click-through rates? Look at your sales page and say, okay, from the number of people who looked at my sales page, what percentage of people bought? If you did a webinar, if you did a challenge or whatever, and I call these all just, marketing tools, whichever particular tool you used to promote and sell your product during that launch, go, okay, how many people were in my challenge? How many people participated? How many people actually, saw the offer that I gave to them, and what percentage did you sell? And you should be able to see the bits that worked better and the bits that didn't work so well. And what you want to do then is be really deliberate here of not throwing everything out, but going, okay, well, this bit didn't work so great, so we can play with that bit, do that bit again. But this bit worked pretty well. Those emails worked well, but people clicked through, but maybe the sales page didn't convert very well. So you go, okay, well, maybe I need to rework the sales page. So that's step number one in sort of troubleshooting. And you need to also have this sort of mindset going into any kind of launching, particularly a new product, in that it's going to take you a couple of launches to get your marketing tools or your puzzle pieces right. And that's fine. Like, that is normal. I've spoken to friends and it's taken them 10 launches to get it so they feel like, everything is perfect and it's converting really, really well. And, and then they just kind of keep, and, they can just kind of do that launch over and over, but obviously tweaking and stuff as they go, and refreshing slightly just so it doesn't get stale, but not doing whole new things each time. Does that make sense? Can you let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Also, let me know if when you've been looking at launching a product or selling anything, if every time you come around to, actually putting something up for sale or launching something, do you think you need to do everything brand new from the start? That's creepy. Someone just sounded like someone sneezed in my house and there's no one home. I think I have a poltergeist for cold. Do you think you have to do everything brand new from scratch? Or do you already kind of try and reuse stuff over and over again? So let me know in the comments, guys, when it comes to, or another question for people going, I haven't even launched anything yet. Let me know, have you launched something before? Have you actually put a launch out? And if you have, was it a boom launch, or was it a bit of a slow starter launch, or was it a no starter launch, is what we'll talk about in a sec. So if you've had this first launch where the first time you did it, you got good sales, and second time, not so much, I would really, really strongly encourage you, don't throw the baby out the bathwater. Don't completely start from scratch. Don't panic. No, it can, will, and should take several cracks at this. And the best way to figure out and improve each of those elements is to not wait for the next launch, is to actually try and do it in between the launch and send just a little bit of paid traffic to it. Hey, Sally. Sally says, yes, it's so stressful. Looking forward to finessing next time around. This is so reassuring. Good. I'm glad, because I've got a lot of friends in this industry, and we've been doing it for quite a while, and it's been quite lovely this year, actually. So many of them who I know in previous years have been kind of struggling and have been hitting their head against the wall a bit, are going, actually, I feel like all the pieces are coming together, but they've been doing this for years and just been slowly improving. So for those of you who are going, okay, great, I want to improve, but if you're only launching every 3 months or every 6 months or something like that, that's a long time to wait to kind of test out a new thing or an updated thing or a tweaked thing, right? And it's also a lot of pressure to put on that new element. Oh, hey, Diane, how you going? Because you don't want to spend weeks and weeks setting up this launch, spending a whole bunch of money, maybe on some Facebook ads or even on hiring some help for it. And you have just these sky high bloody expectations of this has to do really well, or I'm a bit screwed. That's pretty common as well. So when that happens, that's not the place to be testing stuff either. So I actually recommend people don't test new things in a live launch. If you go through this process where you look at the launch that you've just had and you identify 1 or 2 spots where you reckon you could make a pretty good improvement, you could turn up the dial, go, that just flat out didn't work. I want to try something new here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do that in between on the sneaky, okay? So you're not going to be, the different ways of doing this is you could, if, for example, your webinar kind of sucked. No one bought on your webinar and you're like, damn it, I would really like to have a webinar that converted better. So what you'll do is you will rewrite your webinar or update it, go through and for the next couple of weeks, do a live webinar where maybe you send some Facebook traffic or even just send the invite to a portion of your list to go to that webinar. And then you're going to be able to test and go, so week 1, did that do any better? Okay, did a bit better. Try a couple of other things. What went, and just be really deliberate about this and be okay with it taking a bit of time and it not having to be absolutely amazing right out of the gate, okay? So that's launch type number 1. That's the boom then bust kind of launch. I just came up with that name. I think I like it much better than what I said before. So yeah, so that's for people who, as I said, your first launch was great. Second launch kind of sucked and you don't know why. That's the process to go through to kind of troubleshoot that. Now, the second type of launch is the slow start launch. So that is when, again, you've spent all this time and money and effort and you set up what should be this amazing launch and you open the gates and you only get a few sales. And it's really kind of disappointing. And there's a voice in your head going, oh, maybe I'm no good at this. Maybe this product sucks. Maybe no one wants it. Maybe I should just throw it all away. If that has happened to you, my advice to you is, again, to treat your first launch as, my friend Laurie calls it the get it done launch. The first time you're getting a product out into market, there's two boxes you want to tick. One, has at least a couple of people bought it, because that at least ticks the box that yes, there is some, to the right person with the right messaging, people want this. There are enough people out there, there's a few people out there who've gone, yeah, this sounds good. And maybe, and most likely with a slight tweak, maybe of your messaging, of, as I said, of those different marketing puzzle pieces during your launch by slowly, systematically using the process I was just talking about with the first one, you can improve all of those so that more people buy it next time. But at least yes, some people bought it. So if some people bought it, then it might not be as many as you want, but at least some people have, and that means yes, market validated, that's a go. The next thing that you want, the next sort of reason or purpose of your first launch is to actually get everything done. So the course or the product or the service or the whatever it is you're creating is done and it's set up, and the delivery of it is done and set up, and you're going to get a few people going through it. You're going to get their feedback and you're probably going to go and improve some things. So next time it's even better. And the third part of it is to get that feedback, that first kind of feedback. So those people who are going through, ask them. So even if like 4 people bought and you were hoping for 20 or something like that, you can say, email them, say, thank you so much for jumping in. It's a brand new product. I want to make sure it's as good as possible. Can you let me know what was it that made you go, want to buy this? Like, what was it that really kind of stood out to you as being a solution of something that you needed? Because you want to get in their words, what they saw as being the solution that your product was providing. Because quite often, again, one of the problems that comes up for people really commonly is there's nothing wrong with the product. It's just the way that you're describing it to people doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to them as it does to you, if that makes sense. So quite often people, when they have a particular problem, they'll already have in their mind a kind of idea of what they think the solution is for them. Even if that's not actually, even if you know better, even if you know. So for example, look at something simple like weight loss. Like people might go, I just need a diet and exercise plan and I'll be fine. Like I just need to find the right magic diet and exercise plan. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have said that to themselves, right? And then you go and get this diet and exercise plan. If you don't actually do the damn thing, nothing happens. Yes? Hey, Lisa, how you going? But really, in reality, it's not another diet or exercise plan. No one actually needs any of those. Like common sense, most people know you eat chocolate cake all day, bad. Vegetables, healthy, clean foods, good, but doesn't mean it's going to stop us wanting to eat a chocolate cake. What we what you would know as someone who's helping people with that problem is really a lot of it comes down to they need some, they might need have some mindset shifts they need to do. They might need to believe that they can do it. They might need some accountability. Like there's lots of other things that are actually the solution. And you might be going into creating your product and being like, hey, I'm going to help you with your mindset. And people are like, screw you, my mindset's fine. I just want another diet and exercise plan. So it's really important when you're coming down to marketing or creating your sales page and all the emails that you send and the social media that you're doing around a launch, that you're speaking to them in the language that they use and that you're speaking to the problem that they think that they have, and you're kind of offering up that, even though when in the actual program you might give them that, but also the thing that they need as well. Does that make sense? Let me know if I'm confusing you, or if that makes sense, let me know in the comments. But it's that first launch is really, it's market validation, it's getting the product done, and it's getting that first feedback. And that first feedback from the people going through it, asking them why they bought, that you can take their word for word of what they just said, and that is gold. That is, you can use that as headlines for things. You can use that on sales page copy. Like they, you don't write your sales page. Your readers write your sales page, and your customers write your sales pages by listening to what it is that they say, and the terms that they use and the problems that they have. Like that's what should be going into your marketing copy. So if you've had a launch and it's been a bit sucky, if you can tick off those 3 things, you've actually had a really good launch. A few people have bought, excellent. Your product is out there and it's mostly done. Sure, you're probably going to tweak it a little bit once you've got your first lot of feedback, but it's 90% done. That is excellent. And then you have a chance now to get some really great feedback and do some really great market research with those people in it. Brilliant. So tick all those off. It's been a really successful launch. And then you're going to go and use the process I talked about earlier in the live for the boom to bust launch to then go back and again, look at what you did and look in your launch, look at the different pieces, look at the emails you sent, look at the, whether you did a webinar or a challenge or whatever it was, and grab 1 or 2 and try and improve it before your next launch comes around. Improve it and test it so that next time you're going to be using the stuff that already worked. You're going to have tested a bunch of new stuff so that works. And you're already, you're going to have a lot more time and energy in this launch anyway, because you're not creating the product. You're not completely kind of making it up as you go along. You've got half of it kind of already done from the first one. So your second launch then has a much better chance of being better. And, and then that is how, if you just follow that process again and again, hey, it might take you 10 launches, but as I said, a friend of mine told me the other day it was her 10th or 11th launch she just did, and she made $1 million out of that launch. And the first time she sold it, she sold about 4. So yes, it can take some time, and it kind of should, because if it was way too easy, then everyone would be doing it, and then there'd be no value in what it is we're doing. So that's launch number 2. That's your slow start launch. Now, launch number 3, and this is actually the rarest one, and this is the one that people are the most afraid of, is the no start launch, is when you release a product and literally nobody buys it. And again, I want to say to you that that's actually kind of a good thing, because, and that is in the hope that you haven't spent too much money on this product. So when you've released something and you think, oh my God, I know exactly what it is my people need, and you create it and you send it out to them and no one buys, that's a pretty good bit of feedback from your audience that that's not actually what they need. And my recommendation, if you've already done that, there's a few ways you could fix it. Firstly, it could be just, again, changing the messaging, changing how it's offered, changing what time you offer it, the different ways you offer it. So again, you want to go and play detective a bit. You want to maybe reach out to some people on your list who you saw opened and clicked and read stuff, but they didn't buy, and just say to them, hey, look, this is my first time on this product. I want to make sure it's awesome and it's really giving great value. I'd love if you could give me some feedback on, what was it that, about this, what did you think was good about the product? What did you think wasn't so great? Were there any reasons, things that stopped you from buying? Some people are going to be annoyed by that. other people, like if these are people who are your genuine super fans, or your genuine, just, people have been hanging out with you on the internet for a little while, they're not going to be upset by this. They're going to be, they're going to be glad to help you. And, maybe you can say, hey, if you want to even go and have a look at the product, give me your feedback. I can give you a login. Use it as feedback, not as failure. And that's going to, yes, it sucks. It sucks. Go away, lick your wounds, drink too much wine, eat a tub of ice cream, come back and say, okay, well, at least I know that's not the right way. I'm going to go get some bit more feedback, dive into this a little bit more, and then, pick yourself up, put your big girl pants on, and let's have another crack. But next time you go to launch something, I really, really encourage you to pre-launch it. So don't create something until at least a couple of people have bought it. And the beauty of that is that you get to be really open and honest with your audience. You get to be, go out there and say, hey guys, I'm thinking of creating this thing about XYZ. And I'd love to know if this is something that is of interest to you. Don't just get them to say yes, because a yes is easy. You want them to actually vote with their credit cards. Say, if you would like to get one of the very first spots to help be one of my beta testers of this brand new product, it's going to be great beta price. No one's going, it'll be up and running, and tell them when, give them the details, tell them what's going to be in it, and say, and I'd love to get your feedback as well, so I can, we'll kind of be co-creating this together, and you can let me know exactly what you need. Like, make them feel a part of it, and get a few sales through the door to market validate that tick, that people want this thing that you're creating, and then go and create it. And then, follow that same process next time to be able to, as I said, get your feedback, get the people going through it, make those improvements, get the exact words from them they use as to why they bought your product, what they liked about it, what the problems are they're hoping to get solved. Use those in your next round of marketing, and be totally okay if things take longer than, all of those pretty pictures on Instagram tell you they will take, because, there are some unicorns out there. This is the fourth type of launch, which is the unicorn launch, and this is the rarest of them all, but it seems to be the one that everyone thinks is what's actually going to happen, and that is that you create a product, you launch it to your list, to your tiny list. It's always to a tiny list, and somehow magically thousands of them sell, and all you have to do is send a couple of emails, and then you launch it again, and more and more, and more, and it just grows, and there's no problems or challenges ever, and everything's easy. That's actually not a unicorn launch. That's a total BS launch. It never is easy, even for those people who come out and say that it is. They're fudging. They're trying to make it sound a little bit better. They've had some challenges. They've had some things not go to plan. 100%. I can guarantee that. All of them have. But, there are a few unicorns out there that do seem to just be generally on the trend of up from the start, which is rad for them. It just means that they were lucky enough when they created whatever it is they created to hit on the right messaging, the right market, the right product, and the right tools in their marketing toolbox. Like, they lucked out, got them all right up front, and awesome. How rad would it be to be them? But most of us aren't them, and that's totally okay too. And we can become as good as that by just having a little bit of patience, being happy to experiment just a little bit, and, being happy that it's going to take a little bit of time. So that's it, guys. That's my 3 types of launches. Well, it's 4 technically with the unicorn launch, but I'm not going to include that, because if you've had a unicorn launch, you're not watching this video. You're like on an island drinking cocktails somewhere. So, but for everyone else who's had one of the other 3 types of launches, let me know. I'd love to know if you've launched something before, if you were, launch number 1, the boom to bust, launch number 2, the slow to start, or launch number 3, the no start. And there's no judgment here. You actually did something. If you've done any of these launches, I actually think you should be bloody congratulated, because you've done something, you've created something, and so many people never even get that far. Like, I'd say the majority of people are the gunners, the shooters. They're always like, oh, I should create something, I should create a product, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They never do. And, sucks to be them. Way better to have created something, it be an absolute failure, I know it probably doesn't feel that way, but it is, because at least you know that next time you're going to do it even better. So yeah, that's it from me, guys. An awesome weekend wherever you are. I hope the sun is shining. I hope the wine is delicious, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.